program, we have the Patriotic Front Secretary General, Mr. Davis Mwila, to officially open the program. Mr. Davis Mwila, sir, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, viewers.
We can go straight into the program, sir.
Thank you very much. We are excited as a party today, Wednesday, 9th June 2021, to relaunch the PF Interactive Forum. The PF Interactive Forum is our premier dialogue platform designed to discuss policy and other serious issues with stakeholders and members of the public. During this period, His Excellency President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu has committed himself to a clean and issue-based campaign without insults or violence. The President has directed that we engage in healthy political debates and not engage in demeaning statements that raises unnecessary political tension. To this effect, he has commissioned the Party Manifesto 2021 to 2026 to help discuss with Zambians our social contract on the development and the aspiration of our people for this country. The Party Manifesto has recognized the massive developmental achievements that the PF government has achieved from 2011 to 2021. The PF Manifesto has also proposed policy changes and reviews which the party in government will effect to achieve accelerated national development. It is for this reason that the PF Interactive Forum is important to help bring back healthy debates in our politics. We wish to take this opportunity to encourage other political parties to condemn the rise of political violence in the country and encourage debates that build and unite this country, not divide it. Debate that promotes dialogue and not hate speech or insults. Debate that puts the interests of voters in shape focus. We hope that in the coming few weeks, you will enjoy the debates the forum hosts. Good night and enjoy the program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And that is Mr. Davis Mwila, the Patriotic Front Secretary General, flagging off officially the PF Interactive Forum. And in the spirit of true celebration of the flag off of the forum, we are going for an interlude of music, and we are going to play you solely by Mampi Makitu and Yo Maps. See you on the other side.
Hey. Uyo, alebuele la posori. Uyo, nilesa wasalile sori. Tapale kodunga chikabwe oso. Chambo chanoa, waba muwato wanoa. Nokuwamba na tubomba sofa. Tatua kaleke sori. Muchambo chanoa, waba muwato wanoa. Nokuwamba na tubomba sofa. Tatua kaleke sori. Alebuele la pu, na puti na puti. Alebuele la pu, 2021. Alebuele la pu, alebuele la pu, alebuele la pu. Sometimes ila fwa ikawa baula. Weka feno tidionsa kudandaula. Sometimes ila fwa ikawa tasha. Natu womba nolo watila tabalasha. Mona fechalo chese bochawama. Tola ukeri dine tola samwa. Wasa wiantanshu utaba mona. Valolela fedefwe wetukapona. Vena vaishi wafyo kukondema. Tapari wabawino kama omena. Kati yuwe na nilesa fe wasala. Kani wena ngatwaba fe munsala. Sodini Uyo alebuele la posori. Uyo nilesa wasalile sori. Tapale kodunga chikafwe oso. Chambo chanoa, waba muwato wanoa. Nokuwamba na tubomba sofa. Tatua kaleke sori. Muchambo chanoa, waba muwato watu wanoa nakubamba na tubomba sofa tatwakaleke sori alebwele na pu na futi na futi alebwele na pu 2021 alebwele na pu alebwele na pu alebwele na pu
Bantate mavuta chabe kutasha na pamineti ona tipona kushusha njito yamba kale asirize sorry time has come to lay a muku vota evotela komanda sorry time has come to lay a muku vota evotela komanda sorry
uyo alebwele la posori
uyo nilesa wasalire sori tapale fotinga chitafwe boso
Chamba cha Noa, kamu watu wa Noa, nakubamba na tubomba sofa, tatwakaleke sori. Chamba cha Noa, kamu watu wa Noa, nakubamba na tubomba sofa, tatwakaleke sori. Alebwele na pu, na futi na futi, alebwele na pu 2021, alebwele na pu, alebwele na pu, alebwele na pu. Nichiuta wapangile buse kabidili wapangile vyonse tetinkane tetinchinje akasanka chemwine amulekeni ateke alasakamana na balwele tawaishi baleka nkwebe mulekeni asunke iyo abola bola 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 uyo alebwele la posori
uyo nilesa wasalire sori tapale fotinga chitafwe boso
Chambo cha Noa, waba mu watu wa Noa, nakubamba na tubomba sofa, tatwakaleke sori. Chambo cha Noa, waba mu watu wa Noa, nakubamba na tubomba sofa, tatwakaleke sori. Alebwele na pu, na futi na futi, alebwele na pu 2021, alebwele na pu, alebwele na pu, alebwele na pu.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the short interlude of music. And to those that are just joining us right now, this is the inaugural PF Interactive Forum. Our guest this evening is a founding member of the Patriotic Front. He is former member of Parliament for Rome constituency. He also held several cabinet positions such as Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Labour and Social Security, as well as Minister of Information and Broadcasting and Chief Government Spokesperson. I'm talking about Dr. Chishimba Kambwili. Dr. Kambwili, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Nakiwe, and good evening to our viewers.
Now, being founder member of the Patriotic Front, just, a few interesting thoughts about the Patriotic Front.
Well, the Patriotic Front was formed for the poor people. And it is a pro-poor party, pro-poor government that has focused on making sure that every Zambian live better, that every Zambia has 3 meals at least. They must be able to have breakfast, they must be able to have lunch, and they must be able to have supper. And above all, they deserve a better life. That's what Patriotic Front stands for.
Now, Dr. Kambwili, having said that, how do you rate the performance of the Patriotic Front the past 10 years?
Well, from the time that PF took government, this country has been transformed. And it is only somebody who doesn't want to accept the fact
that this country has been transformed from the way it was before PF took over government. Today, Nakiwe, everywhere you stand, everywhere you are, you can pick up a stone, throw a stone in any direction. The possibility that it will land on a PF developmental project is 99.1%. That shows you that this government means well. And what the people of Zambia must understand is that it is not by chance that PF has done so many developmental projects in terms of infrastructure. That is how our 2011 to 2021 manifesto was couched. If you look at our manifesto from 2011 to 2021, the concentration was on infrastructure development, so that through infrastructure development, we can therefore anchor future developmental projects. What do I mean? Nakiwe, before we came into government as PF, we did a survey to find out why certain investors do not want to go and invest in rural areas. For instance, in Mporokoso, where I come from, Chishamwamba, Pamwamona village. We found that there was no electricity in Mporokoso. There was no road in Mporokoso. It used to take, Nakiwe, from Kasama to Mporokoso, you leave Kasama at 6 o'clock and arrive in Mporokoso at 18 hours. Which investor would want to go and invest in Mporokoso? Today, when you go to Mporokoso, there are big farms by Chinese coming up in Mporokoso. There are big farms by Chinese coming up in Kasama, because they know that they are able to travel from Mporokoso from Kasama to Mporokoso within 1 hour, 30 minutes. Today in Mporokoso, Koporo bus are reaching Mporokoso. 3, 4, 5 buses in a day from the Copper Belt going to Mporokoso. In those days, we used to go by air, vans. Ngana mubu tuluka kuli gravel, ngamoyam kufika, mune moneka kwa tina kati mwafyari ule palu mkoto na mwafyari ule pa gravel. Today, you move from Mporokoso, 1 hour, 30 minutes. Very comfortable in a bus. Investors are rushing there. The people of Mporokoso will now enjoy employment because, one, we have taken enough electricity in Mporokoso. There is a road in Mporokoso. Not only in Mporokoso. Go to other areas. Northwestern province, for instance. There was only diesel-powered generators providing electricity to a few districts in Northwestern province. And those generators were not doing 24 hours provision of electricity, because you and I know that the cost of diesel is very high. The electricity, people used to have electricity for 2 hours, 3 hours, they are switched off. Today, the PF has joined Northwestern to the national grid, and there is electricity in all the districts of Northwestern province. Who would refuse to go and invest in Northwestern province? There is a scramble for investment in Northwestern province because there are schools there where the investors' children can go, where those who be working in those industries can go. There is enough electricity in Northwestern province today. There is enough and proper roads in Northwestern province today. That is why President Michael Sata, may his soul rest in peace, together with his team of technocrats and together with the Central Committee of the PF, which involved the current president, President Edgar Lungu, sitting there as member of Central Committee, planned that what was cardinal was to build infrastructure on where future developmental projects will be anchored on. That is why you've seen that there is a lot of infrastructure development. It's not by mistake. And when you are building, if we bring it at a household level, Nakiwe, you rent a house, you are paying rentals, you are paying school fees, you are buying food, etc., etc. If when you are paying rent, you are eating a chicken every day, then you and your husband decide that no, instead of us paying rent, let us invest in our own house. Let us build our own house. What is going to happen is that your life will not be as normal as it used to be before you started building the house. What do I mean? Because you now have an extra cost to buy cement, an extra cost to buy sand, to pay the workers at the plot, you have to reduce on certain things. For instance, if you were eating a chicken a day, you'd probably be eating a chicken once a week, because you want to take some of that money towards this development. In short, there will be a little bit of suffering during that investment period in order for you to recoup saving in the future. Because once you finish building the house, now all that money you were paying rent, you will not be paying rent for. If you are eating 2 chickens, you improve now to be eating 3 chickens maybe in a day, because you have a savings. But during the building period, there will be some suffering. This is exactly what is happening in Zambia today. Because of the massive infrastructure development, people of Zambia may not be enjoying certain things that they should be enjoying. Meaning, therefore, that there will be a little bit of suffering because of that investment. But once that investment is completed, like now, most of the infrastructure has been built. For instance, the Link Zambia 8000, about 3,000 kilometers of roads has been built. Look at the township roads. Chingola, one of the issues that the people in Chingola were crying for were that the roads were very bad. Today, when you go to Chingola, the story is different. Kitwe, the story is different.
Now, Dr. Kambwili,
coming to what you said, rating the performance of the PF at the moment, I would rate them to be at 80%.
You've spoken very well about infrastructure development, but there are sentiments out there from certain sections of society, the opposition, for instance, who argue that there is a high cost of essential commodities. Are they justified?
In fact, Mwebena Zambia, and in explaining this, I would probably also use a bit of Bemba, so that even my mother, my grandmother in Mporokoso can understand this. You see, this year's election is actually mainly centered on people talking about the high cost of living. But Nakiwe, what is causing the high cost of living? What is this government going to do or planning to do in order to bring the high cost of living? What has caused the high cost of living? It will be misleading for anybody to say the PF government has brought this problem of high cost of living. Nangula ba PF webaletele mitengo yafya kulikuya pamuru. It is not correct, and I will justify. I have a write-up here, Nakiwe, by the UN, the United Nations, where they're saying global food costs surge to decade high as drought patches crops. Ba UN wale that if yakulya mitengo ya fyakulya isonde lyonse kubikira kona Zambia nafini na pamulu 3 times or 2 times pantu kuli chilabaletila drought amen shita muli mwisonde yako ati fyakulya fikule bwino ukubikapo n'obulwele bwa COVID-19 pantu abantu nomba abengi ama industries ayengi alisalwa abengi abalimita balelime ifidio ifingi ifyakwati batwale mwisonde lyonse bakuti mitengo yafyakulya ibwele panshi. And the UN is saying that global food prices have extended their rally to the highest in almost a decade, heightening concerns over Beijing grocery bills at a time when economies are struggling to overcome the COVID-19. By UN, not in, not Balungu. Balebo kwebat, imitengo ya fyakulya na inina the highest in the last in a decade. What is a decade?
10 years.
10 years. In the last 10 years, imisengo ya fyakulya, the whole world is the highest at the moment, the whole country. And they are saying that the prolonged gains across the staple commodities are trickling through to store shelves, with countries from Kenya to Mexico reporting higher cost of food items.
So can you maybe do a comparison between the prices?
I'm coming to that. But listen
so that
to this.
we have an idea
Yes.
about what you're talking about.
They are saying that the pain could be particularly pronounced in some of the poor import-dependent countries. This is where Zambia comes in. But if you have mitengo na finina, but if you are chudile sana, if she pange fintu if you kuwonfia na bashiri masana if you kutubaledia muchalo miabo lelo bachita import. In this country Zambia, we import almost everything, including a toothpick. So we are not left in this problem where we have saged or increased price of commodities. In South Africa, it is the same. In Botswana, it is the same. I went to the UK 3 months ago. My wife can attest to this. When I go to Tesco with £100, I used to go and buy a trolley full of groceries and meat, chickens. The last time I was in the UK with £100, I was able to buy just a basket of food, and the £100 was done. So this issue of prices, high price of commodities, is not peculiar to Zambia alone. And I'll give you a comparison, like you wanted, Nakiwa. I'll just pick South Africa. South Africa's economy is 5 times bigger than the Zambian economy. And for them, most of the things that they use are produced in that country. But look at the comparison in terms of pricing of commodities. Meal meal today in South Africa, 25 kg, is at 230 rands. And I have...
What is 230
230 rands in Zambian kwacha is 380 kwacha for a 25 kg bag of meal meal. In this country, the 25 kg bag of meal meal is costing 140,000 kwacha. Let's go to beef. A kg of meat in South Africa is 73 rands. Mwena Zambia. Belamu wepa, wa puti, wa munde mundi. The cost of beef in South Africa, 1 kg, is 73 rand. 73 rand translated in Zambian kwacha is 120 kwacha per kg of meat. Here in Zambia, it is ranging between 70 kwacha to 90 kwacha per kg of meat. So the South African is expensive on meat, is expensive on meal meal. Let's come to cooking oil. 2.5 liters of cooking oil in South Africa is costing 79 rand, translated to 130 kwacha. A 5-liter container in South Africa is now 158 rands. 158 rands is 261 kwacha per 5 liters of cooking oil. While here in Zambia, the 5-liter container of cooking oil is at 250. Still, South Africa is higher than Zambia. When we come to petrol, I've heard people hallucinate that petrol is cheaper, is expensive in Zambia and cheaper in South Africa. Where are you getting the statistics? You go to the poor people in the compound. You want to mislead them to remove a legitimately elected government, a government that has done so much in 10 years, a government that has brought dignity in terms of roads, a government that has brought dignity in terms of hospitals, a government that has brought dignity in terms of building schools. You are telling them that they failed because of the price of commodities have gone high and the prices are better in other countries than in Zambia.
But
this is not
people
correct.
would say that people can't eat roads. What is your comment?
Let me just finish petrol, because that's one of the major inputs in an economy. Petrol in South Africa is 16.91 liters per liter, 16.91 rands per liter, which translates to 28 kwacha per liter in Zambia. How much are we paying for fuel in Zambia? 17 kwacha. South Africans are paying 28 kwacha equivalent Let's come to the packet of sugar. I've heard some people talking about sugar. You can't afford sugar. South African sugar is 39 rand per 2 kg of sugar. 39 rand translates to 64.5 kwacha. How much are we paying here? 48 kwacha. So you can see from the 5 commodities, essential commodities that have picked, that there is a lot of misinformation that the PF government has failed because the price of commodities has gone up. Countrymen and women, the price of commodities has gone up throughout the world. But what are we doing as PF government to bring these commodities down? In relation to what the UN said, that those who import most of the things that they use are hit most by this global surge in prices. The problem that we made as Zambia is that at the time Frederick Chiluba, may he so rest in peace, and his government decided to privatize the mines. And you know that the mines are the major foreign income earner for Zambia. The mines are the ones that bring a lot of forex, the dollar that we are talking about. Because for you to go and order these commodities, you can't go with the kwacha. You need to buy the dollar, then the dollar goes to buy these commodities. But at the moment, the rate of the kwacha to the dollar is $1 to 22 kwacha. What has caused this? Is it poor policies? Is it poor leadership? The answer is no. These things have got an historical perspective. What is the historical perspective to this situation in terms of the dollar to the kwacha? Before the mines were sold, at some point, the dollar to the kwacha was $1 to 1 kwacha. At some point, it was £1 to 1 kwacha. Today, we have moved to 1 kwacha to 22. What has caused it? Countrymen and women. We privatized the mines, meaning, therefore, that whatever we sell from the copper is not our money, which would come and sit in the central bank, in Bank of Zambia, in order for those people that want to go out and order things can go and buy, the dollar and go outside and bring commodities to come and sell. So when we privatized the mines, first, that income of the dollar which was coming in the country stopped. Why did it stop? Because we over-privatized. We allowed the investors, by what we're calling liberalization of the economy, that when you sell the copper, you are free to externalize your profits. And do you know what has been happening of late? Is that every time copper is sold, taken out of this country and sold, the owners of the mine send the money from the London Stock Exchange where the copper is sold straight to their respective countries, leaving no dollars on the Zambian market. And if you don't have the dollars on the Zambian market, the issue of demand and supply kicks in. When there's more demand, less supply, obviously the rate of the kwacha will go up. Now, what do we need to do to remedy this situation? First and foremost, the PF has shown that they mean well. They have said, okay, Mopani copper mines, you are saying you don't want to run the mines. After all, we have been disadvantaged. Because when you sell our copper, you take the money. Okay, as government, we are taking over the mine. Konkola copper mines, vamwenye mavadeta, mwachusha abantu be superfla, inkongole kuma suppliers, tuwapoko mugodi tuwaleta government. And we are going to run these mines as government. When we start running these mines, and we sell the copper, all the proceeds from the copper will come and sit in the Bank of Zambia automatically. The rate of the kwacha to the dollar will drop. That aside, we have now said, look, these development agreements cannot be allowed to go on in perpetuity when our people are suffering because we don't have dollars. We are saying we are going to approach the mining companies now to engage them and say, countrymen and women, our partners in development, you cannot continue selling the copper, take the dollars to your country. We want to say, like, look, it's a negotiation, it's a give and take. We are not going to force unilaterally and say you have to do this, because you have to negotiate. We'll be saying, look, can we agree that when you sell the copper, at least you keep the dollars in the country for 3 months, 90 days, or 120 days. So that by the time you are selling the other copper within 4 months, we'll still have another dollars. When you are taking away this out, this externalizing these dollars, we'll still have some more dollars on the market. Once that is done, it simply means that the rate of the kwacha to the dollar would drop down. Some people are saying, no, but before PF came into office, I want to lock on to what I said, that when you are building a house, sometimes you suffer some suffering. You experience some suffering. No, when MMD was in power, the rate of the kwacha was lower. Yes, we were keeping money as reserves. We had money, a lot of money in reserves. But when we started this process of building the roads, we started using part of that money. And what the MMD used to do at that time was to use, they were presenting an artificial picture to the country that the rate of the kwacha to the dollar was lower, when they are the ones who made the mistake to allow the mines to externalize all the dollars. What they were doing was, because we had more reserves and the MMD was not ready to build schools, was not ready to build hospitals, or not ready to build roads, they would go to the Bank of Zambia and get some money from the reserves, throw it onto the market. That's an artificial way of bringing the rate of the kwacha down. So the rate of the kwacha used to come down and be maintained, because they used to put in money from the reserves. But as PF, because we embarked on this very massive development in order for us to anchor future developments. For instance, we have gold in Northwestern Province. Which investor or even a local people would go and mine the gold where there is no electricity, there is no road, there is no schools, there is no hospitals? We've put up schools there, we've put up roads there. It's easy for investors to go there. So this issue will be remedied. It will be, that's one way of remedying the situation. Now, what I'm trying to say is that PF is already doing something to bring the rate of the kwacha to the dollar down. And one major step they've taken is to say they've taken over Mopani, they've taken over KCM. This will stabilize the rate of the kwacha to the dollar. And I can promise you, once Mopani and KCM goes at the peak in terms of production, you will see that the rate of the kwacha to the dollar will drop, and the foodstuffs will equally drop. But our competitors...
You just said that...
Nakiwe, let me drive this point.
Yeah.
Our competitors are saying, don't get the mines from the investors. Zambians cannot run the mines. How are you going to have more dollars on the market to reduce the rate of the kwacha to the dollar if you leave the mines in the hands, all the mines in the hands of the investors who are externalizing the money? It will not work. Because what we are getting from the mining companies at the moment is only salaries and taxes. We are taxing the mines. But we want to share in the profits of the mine. Because when God put copper under the soil of Zambia, God was not stupid. He put it for the benefit of the people of Zambia. But right now, the copper is only benefiting the investors.
You have rightly said that Zambia had money during the MMD time, which money has been utilized by the PF to, do a lot of things such as infrastructure development. But today, Zambia stands at 12.9 billion debt. The debt for Zambia is paged at 12.9 billion. Why did Zambia borrow? We had money in the MMD government. Why did we need to borrow more money?
Nakiwe, if you look behind where I am, I pay attention to details. Look at what is behind me. Is it wrong to borrow to do such a project? Is it wrong, people of Zambia, to borrow to do that project? Let's come to the energy sector. Let's come to the energy sector to handle that issue you are talking about borrowing. When PF came into office, people of Zambia, in case you don't know, the total power generation in this country, electricity that was being generated in this country, was 1,600 megawatts. Today, we are proud that Zambia is now producing 2,800 megawatts of electricity. Why? Simple. Because of the massive investment that the PF government has put in the energy sector through borrowing. Before PF came into government, in Kawama, in Ron constituency, where I come from, there was no electricity. Why? Because there was very little electricity on the market. And most of the electricity was being given to industries, the mining companies, and many other industries. That was the priority. But today, because we've increased electricity generation from 1,600 to 2,800, people in Kawama are able to have electricity. I came from Mukushi. The last time I went to Mukushi, before PF came into government, electricity was only concentrated at the center of the town. Those in the peripherals were only seeing, electricity lines pass through their heads without having electricity. Today, almost the entire Mukushi has got electricity. Even those who have got small houses have got electricity. And they have electricity 24 hours. In a few months ago, a year or two, we used to cry that there was load shedding. Because PF had planned these developmental projects in the hydro sector. Today there is no load shedding. PF, what did they do? Or what have we done? What has President Edgar Lungu and his government done to remedy this issue in the energy sector through borrowing? The Kariba North Bank project has been completed. Borrowed money to do this. Iteji Hydro Station, 120 megawatts, has been built and brought on board. New Lunzua upgraded project brought on board. Musonda Falls hydroelectricity has been brought on board. Shiwangandu has been brought on board. PF built 330 kV Pensulo Munsoro Kansama industrial line, Pensulo Munsoro Chipata industrial lines to take more electricity to Mporokoso, to Kasama, to Eastern Province. Connected 7 districts to national grid in the Northwestern Province, like I said, because we borrowed money and invested that money in power generation. The private sector also has come on. The Mamba Core plant has also been brought online. So when you talk about 12.9 billion borrowing, it's money well spent. It's money well spent. Look at the roads in Lusaka today. To move from Charleston to town, prior to 2011, people used to take 2 hours. Today, why do you need to use only the greatest road to go to Charleston? There's a ring road. You can pass through Ibex Hill and go to town for work. The time being spent on people traveling within Lusaka has been extensively reduced, meaning therefore that we are spending more time at work than wasting to travel. If you are going to Kasama today, from Luansha, we used to take 10, 11 hours to move from Kitwe to Kasama. But today you can pass through the Pedico, which road has been done. You connect to Mansa Luwingu. All that is money borrowed and money well spent.
Hold the thought, Dr. Kambwidi. We take a short break, and when we come back, you may continue with your presentation.
Thank you.
Catch you on the other.
President Edgar Chagwa and the Patriotic Front have constructed over 1,000 primary schools, translating to over 14,000 classrooms built during the PF government. The increase in the number of primary schools has seen a hike in enrollment rates at primary level to 111% in 2018 from 102% in 2015.
This is going to reduce the cases of girls just rushing into marriage and boys marrying before the time for them to marry. And so it is serving a great purpose for the people.
This has helped the country attain near universal primary school completion rate of 91.8% in grade 7.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Vote for Edgar Chagolungu and the
All right, welcome back to the PF Interactive Forum. Our guest, Dr. Chishimba Kambwili. Now, Dr. Kambwili, could the opposition, have done anything differently to develop Zambia, in your view?
I don't think they could have even developed Zambia. Because everything that is done, they condemn. They say, but they are moving on the same roads. Everything you do, you are building the Kariba, they are saying, no, it is too expensive, you are spending money. So what could they have done? The country could have been still at the same developmental level that Dr. Kaunda and Frederick Chuba left it. Because the opposition has been condemning everything. Now, because they have nothing to talk about, they just want to mislead our people that, no, the price of commodities are. Yes, we know. President Edgar Lungu knows. The government knows that the price of commodities have gone up. But we have a duty to do, to perform in this country. If the country stagnates in terms of development, infrastructure development, it means as the population is growing, some of the things will not be provided. For instance, the infrastructure in Lusaka for sewerage and water provision was meant for a population of about less than 700,000 people. Today in Lusaka, there are over 5 million people. Can you be using the same sewer system that you were using when there were 700 people? The answer is no. You have to go and borrow. Build the sewer line to accommodate the 5 million residents of Lusaka. But when you go to the opposition, they are condemning. So, as a government, we took it upon ourselves and said, look, sometimes it's better to pluck your ears in order to succeed in life. If we had paid much attention to the opposition, these projects could have not been done. So to answer your question, I don't think the opposition could have done anything to develop this country, because everything that is done, they are against. Look, some of the opposition political parties have condemned that why are you spending 52% of the budget on salaries? You want people to be suffering? You don't want to increase people's salaries? We increased people's salaries in 2012 when I was labor minister, from the lowest paid of 700 to the lowest paid of 2,000 in government. Nurses were earning about 1,500. Today, nurses earn about 5 million. Now, these people were condemning that increment. If they come into power, and we know them, they are popularly known as the Reds, will they increase the salaries for the people? This is what people of Zambia should be asking themselves. They have been told by the imperialists, because them they believe in imperialists, telling them that no, spending 52% of the national budget on salaries is bad. They've been told, we'll fund you. When you come into government, you have to reduce the wage bill from 52% by 50% to about 25.5%. You know what that means? They are going to retrench 50% of the civil service. Or they will have to cut down on the civil service pay by 50%. Would that be good for the people of Zambia?
Now,
So
we
when you
are
are
in the
deciding,
dying
people of
minutes
Zambia,
of the show.
when you are
Dr.
deciding between
Kambwili.
the opposition and PF, I tell you that PF is a better devil. You suffer. By the time you realize, it will be too late.
In under 3 minutes, in under 2 minutes, actually, Dr. Kambwili, what makes President Edgar Chagwa the most attractive of the rest of the candidates on the ballot come August 12th?
Look at the back. Look at the back. Everywhere you are, look where you are. You see a road. You see a clinic. 650 health post project 500 and, let me consult my notes. I don't want to mislead the people of Zambia. 559 health posts have been built throughout the country. 5 specialized hospitals have been built, including the Cancer Diseases Hospital. People used to go to South Africa, to India for cancer treatment. We are now treating them here. We have built 36 new district hospitals, 46 mini hospitals. The target is actually 108. So far, 46 have been built. Health posts, like I've said, 559 out of 650. Levi Mwanawasa Medical University and Levi Mwanawasa Hospital. Come to education. Kapasa Makasa University, Mulungushi University, Kwame Nkrumah University, Mukuba University, Charimbana University, Michael Sata School of Medical School. Infrastructure at the University of Zambia is being built to accommodate students at Copperbelt University, at Mulungushi, even on 5 new trade schools in the whole country have been built under President Edgar Lungu. Mwense Trade School, Kalabo Trade School, Isoka Trade School. What more do you want, people of Zambia? The job that we have now is to reduce the cost of living. And to reduce the cost of living is for us to reduce the rate of the kwacha to the dollar. That is why somebody was saying, when I'm elected, excuse me, let me drive this point.
The time we have run out of time.
Somebody was being rhetoric that when I'm elected at 10 o'clock, 14 hours, the dollar will come back. Please see them for who they are. Liars.
On that note, Dr. Kambwili, we have come to the end of the Patriotic Front Interactive Forum. We'd like to thank you for being the inaugural guest of the PF Interactive Forum. Thank you so much, sir.
I need more time.
We will definitely bring you back sometime
Let these people
soon.
not mislead the people of Zambia. I hope people of Zambia, you
All
have
right.
listened.
Thank you so much, our viewers who stayed with us the entire time when we did our interactive forum. Until next week at the same time, same place, it's goodbye for now.
Hey!
Chambo cha Noah, baba muwato wa Noah, nokuwamba na tubomba sofa, tatwa kaleke sori. Chambo cha Noah, baba muwato wa Noah, nokuwamba na tubomba sofa, tatwa kaleke sori.
Alewele la futi na futi, alewele la 2021, alewele la alewele la alewele la. Sometimes ila fwa ikawa